This is Pep's vision, Shaw's mission. Becca's voice whispering to make the right decision. It took 3 to see.
Welcome to another edition of Unconventional Playbook, Playmakers Edition. Man, I have been waiting for this one. She's a busy woman, but we finally got her on the show. And I told her during the pre-show that if there was a logo of Wisconsin Playmakers on the girls' side, she would be the logo. She helped start everything. When there was 2 teams in Playmakers, she was there starting it off the right way. That's a big legacy for her to leave. We have with her Miss Tia Walton. T, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm going to have fun with this one because we've got to act like we don't know each other. You know, this is kind of, it's a professional. You know, some of these questions that I'm going to ask you, I know the answers to. Right? But, you know, this is for the Playmaker fans. This is for people that may be inquiring about Playmakers. You know, maybe they'll find some of the stuff that you talk about, some of your insight that will help them make a decision on an AAU team, help them choose the right college, the right high school, all of that good stuff. So there is no person better to talk to than yourself. So are you ready for this?
Hey, I'm ready. Give it to me.
Okay, so listen. How did you start to play basketball? Like, when did you first pick up a basketball?
Honestly, I feel like I picked it up kind of late. I don't think it was until about 4th grade. I think 4th grade I played for like a rec YMCA league or something like that. And then the coach of that team was like, hey, my daughter plays on a travel team. You should come play for this travel team. So I played for a travel team in Eau Claire for a little bit. I think it was only like a year or 2 before I moved out to Chippewa and then started being more serious about basketball after that.
Yeah,
So
was there
every sport?
Yeah, was anybody early in basketball that really influenced you at all? Like someone that you maybe saw on TV, someone in your family, somebody like that?
Honestly, it was just more of I had a lot of fun doing it. Like when I first played, I was awful at it. I did not know the rules. I couldn't dribble the ball. I mean, that's how everybody starts. You know, everybody has to start somewhere, but
Yeah.
it was just so fun for me. I had no outside basketball knowledge. My family, they're not really a sports family. We don't really watch, sports or anything like that at that point anyway. But I had been put in a lot of other sports. My mom put me in t-ball, dance. I mean, just about anything you can think of. So I tried everything and I loved all of it. I was, just an athlete, loved to play sports. But when she put me in basketball in 4th grade, that's when I was like, yep, this is the one. I'm sticking with this. And then dropped everything else. It was like basketball from there on out.
Okay. And I remember in high school, you made a pretty big move, and I thought it was a gutsy move. You left Memorial and you went to Stanley Boyd. Talk to me about how that shaped you as a person and as a basketball player.
I think for me, it was my mom was pregnant at that time and had moved out to Stanley. And the year before, I was varsity. I was a starter on varsity at Memorial. And that was kind of like my breakout year. My sophomore year was my breakout year. Going into my sophomore year, that summer, I trained a lot. And then my sophomore year, played pretty well. And then started getting recruited. And obviously, Memorial's a D1 school. It's a really big school. Get, a lot of notice there. But my mom had moved out to Stanley. I was trying to make it work in Eau Claire. Stayed with my best friend for a little bit. And I was like, I only have 2 more years of high school. I'd rather be around my family, be around my mom. I know I'm not going to get as much recognition necessarily. I know the team might not be as good or the competition might not be as good. At least that's what I thought going into it, just because they're smaller schools. And then when I got out there, it was perfect for me, especially having, Allison Becker as my coach as well. It was great once I got out there.
Yeah, from an outsider looking in, I think that was a situation, not that you weren't relied upon to be a leader on Memorial's team, but I thought you were put in a situation where you went out to Stanley Boyd. You're obviously the best player out there. And I think a lot of the players and the girls, people in the community really looked up to you. I think you had an opportunity to really develop your leadership skills out there.
Yeah, I mean, and I never necessarily thought about it like that. Kind of looking back at it, I wish I would have taken more, like I would have thought of it more of that way. Like, I have people looking up to me, but more I was kind of in my own head. I kind of lived in my own world at that point. And for me, it was like, okay, I got to make it to basketball. Whatever it is that's going to get me there. If it's through basketball, that's what I got to do to keep my head straight to, play. That's all I really thought about. Like,
Yeah.
if I'm gonna do this to get in trouble, I can't play. If I'm gonna do this, I can't play.
Yeah.
So it was mainly that for me. I didn't really have too many role models. I'm the oldest of 6, so I have a lot of little eyes looking up to me. So I feel
Yep.
like if anything, I was the role model for them. And like I said, nobody in my family really went to college, played sports in high school even. So I feel like I was kind of the trailblazer for a lot of things that happened throughout my family afterwards.
Yeah. So you get out to Stanley Boyd, T,
Mhm.
and you break the high school single season scoring record. Like,
Barely.
I was hey, you did it. You
I
know,
did.
I was a pretty good player back in my day, but I was
Mhm.
never I can't remember a time where I was the best player on my team or
Mhm.
I broke a single season record. Take me through that journey and what were you thinking when that happened to you?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of things, especially at that time, like a lot of those accomplishments weren't necessarily as loudly celebrated in my head at least. I was just
Right.
like, okay, it's another day, especially on the offensive end. For me, offensively, I kind of go blank. I don't really think too much about what I'm doing or why I'm doing it. It kind of just comes naturally. Defense is really where I had to put my focus. I'm like, I love playing defense. I feel so much pride when the person that I'm guarding has the ball and I'm trying to make sure that they don't score. So that's where a lot of my focus went. So when it came to the offensive, like awards that I got or the achievements or just people recognizing me, it was cool. Obviously, I love to get the recognition, of course, but it wasn't really anything that I had to think about too much. It kind of just came naturally. And then when I did get it, it's like, okay, it's nice that people are kind of recognizing those things.
Yeah, see, and here's what I know about you because you and I have known each other for a long
Mhm.
time.
Yeah.
You are a pretty humble person, and even during this interview, you have a hard time hearing compliments about yourself. Another accolade that you got, you were Chippewa County Player of the Year.
Mhm.
Okay, how did that? I mean, obviously, at this by this time, you knew you were a pretty good player, but
Yeah.
how did winning something like that help with your confidence and improve your confidence?
I mean, for me, I went through a lot when I was growing up, and I had a lot of pressure on me to make sure that I didn't become a statistic of what I had gone through. And so to get that, especially at the end of my senior career and going into college, things like that, I felt like at that point, like this is what it was all for. I never really had an end goal. Obviously, I knew I wanted to make it to college. Well, actually, before college, I thought I was going straight to the WNBA. I don't know if you saw it in my email or not, but it's
Y-
Tahlia
I
WNBA
saw
Walton.
that.
Yeah, I made that email when I was like 12. I had hoop dreams, thought that I was gonna go straight from high school over to the WNBA. Didn't even think about college, but when it did become a reality, um, I just was like, everything that I had gone through beforehand, that this is what it was for. Like it just made me stronger as a person at the end of the day. And I feel like as a competitor also, like I had a little chip on my shoulder. I feel like what I had gone through gave me some grit. And I feel like I played with that throughout high school, especially because, the fact that I did move, just me speaking very raw about the whole situation, because I did move from a big school to a small school, there was a lot of talk within the basketball community about why I did move and a lot of politics in high school. And again, I live in my own bubble, so I didn't hear too much about it besides what I needed to know and what was affecting me. But the year before that, my junior year, so before I had gotten the award, I had to play JV. And for me, that was just kind of like a humbling moment. I had just came off of a starting season at North, a big D1 school. I had colleges looking at me, and now I'm having to tell my college coach, like, "Hey, coach, I got to play JV because of politics," essentially. And all you can do is just work through whatever you're given. I was given the opportunity to still be able to play. It was JV, but I could still play. I could still compete, work on the things that I needed to work on. And I feel like that's what helped develop me as a player. My coaches kind of gave it to me as like it was an injury year for me, how they would treat an injury for a high school player is kind of how they treated me that year. But for
Yeah.
me, it's like I don't have an injury. I know I can play. So when I go out here, I'm still gonna play like these are the people I've been playing against the whole time, regardless of the talent level or whatever.
Well, I'll let you in on a little secret. During that time, because I remember that time really,
Mhm.
really well. And I
Mhm.
remember you having to play JV for that whole year. And
Mhm.
during that time is when I said to myself, you know what? Talia's gonna make it. because there would have been a lot of players. I've coached a lot of players.
Mm-hmm.
I've been around a lot of people, and I know that there are a lot of players and people that I have been around and interacted with and coached with that would not have, their ego would not have let them
Mm-hmm.
play JV. They
Right.
probably would have sat out just for a year or whatever.
Right.
But not only did you play, T, because people were like, oh, well, she played, but you led that JV team. You were a good leader. I came to some of your games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you were a good leader on that team. And so for you to be able to do that, I said, this is someone that's going to make it in life because she knows how to navigate the obstacles and the adversity that just comes with life stuff. So I was really, really proud of you with that. Did you have trouble adapting to a new environment once you got out there with your coaches, your classmates, or your teammates at all?
It definitely was an adjustment at first, especially moving from Eau Claire to Stanley. You're going from a big school, big city to a small town. I mean, Stanley doesn't even have a stoplight in the entire town. So, just the cultural differences just off the bat. I mean, for one, I'm 6 feet tall, black in Stanley, where everybody else is probably about 5'6", and there was a lot of differences for sure when I transferred over. And it was hard, definitely at first, because I was trying for a little bit to still be able to play varsity, and then being told no, and then again the politics that happened behind the scenes of it, and just hearing what adults were saying about children at that time was kind of
Yep.
just disturbing to me, especially because for me it's like I'm just trying to play basketball. I don't care about any of the outside noise. I don't care about what division or what school's calling me, what this high school's doing, or I didn't care about any of that. Like I've been saying this whole time, I live in my own bubble. I don't think about what other people are doing or what's going on the outside, besides what's affecting me personally. And that did affect me right off the bat, especially knowing, I had kind of climbed this mountain a little bit throughout life, and it kind of felt like where I was at my peak. Now I got to fall back and humble myself and go back to the basics, essentially. And it would look like a deterring thing for a lot of people or a lot of athletes, like, okay, I will just sit the year, or I'll find something else to do, or I'll just quit basketball altogether. And for me, it was like, okay, well, what is it that I need to refine? Like, I kind of looked back at it as like, there's a reason for this. There's a reason that I'm having to sit here and kind of play at a lower level than what I know I'm capable at playing at. And what is it? And I really think that was the leadership skills that I was able to develop, talking to people, then figuring out a different way to tell people the things that I was being told
also,
if that makes sense. Like,
yeah, it does. Makes a
for
lot of
example,
sense.
my sister, moving forward to my senior year, my sister, she played her freshman year. I was on varsity my senior year. And communicating with her the things that I had been taught, but in a way that she's actually going to take it. Because I'm the tough love type of person, especially at that time in my life. I kind of had a thick skull. I was very playful, but also very stubborn. If things weren't going my way on the court, you could read it all over my face. I got very emotional when I played, and I had taken that tough love coaching that I had been given, and I was trying to give that to my sister. And she wasn't where I was at the time. She's like, dude, I'm just here playing basketball just because my friends are doing it. Like, I just want to have fun. But I also want to learn. She did have a sister that was, being talked about a lot, and she felt like she had some big shoes to step into. So I wanted to help her in that way. But I think that year definitely helps me learn my communication skills and how to talk to my teammates about the things that I'm seeing and how they can read it too.
Good stuff. Good stuff. We're talking to Tia Walton, former AAU Wisconsin playmaker. Let's talk about playmakers a little bit. You
Love it.
actually were a huge part of the playmaker program. How did that influence your game, and how did that influence your mindset going forward?
I mean, Playmakers for me was an opportunity to just go out there and play. I didn't have to think again about the politics, which a lot of other AAU teams or a lot of other people were doing at the time. And especially, it's interesting now because I know that there's a lot of more politics now about basketball than there were back then. But
Yep.
back then, it was also pretty big. A lot of people were talking like, oh, come join this team. A lot of coaches were poaching other players off of teams and whatnot. But luckily, I had developed a relationship with Chris the year before. And my best friend and I, one day we were at a Mexican restaurant eating with her dad after church. And he was like, T, what AAU team are you playing for? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm going to talk to Chris and see what he has going on. And I actually was going to go play for Tartan, Minnesota. Or is that what they're called? North Tartan? They're
North
Metro
Tartan, yep.
Stars now. or something like that. Uh, and so I was going to go play for him. And Chris was like, T, you will get more exposure here. You'll get lots more opportunity. You'll be able to play your game, which was the biggest thing. I play freely. Like I said, I don't really think about too much when I play, especially offensively. So he just gave me an opportunity and surrounded me with amazing teammates that were from the area, that we all wanted the same thing. We all wanted to develop together. We all wanted to play together. And we also had a mutual respect for one another. There was never any egos on the teams that we were playing on. I just feel like it was a community that was made for me, honestly.
Talk to me about Chris Becker, because I try to tell people about this guy, and I think a lot of people that don't know him thinks that he's a business guy. He's obviously a fantastic coach.
Right.
And I've learned a lot from him basketball wise. He probably would say the exact opposite, that he's learned some things from me. But the
Right.
amazing thing about Chris Becker is I watch him work, and I don't think there's a time where he has never been there for
Mhm.
people. Like, I
Mhm.
always see him doing favors for people, being there for people that are in need, and he cares about his players that plays in the playmaker program. Like, this is not a moneymaker for him.
Mhm.
This is not something where, his ego, he wants to be the best AAU program around. Now, I'm sure his competitive side, like, he
Mhm.
wants to do that, but man, if I were to send my daughter somewhere, I would want to send my daughter into a program that has a care factor and has a leader that just really cares about the players. I mean, there have been
Mhm.
plenty of times where he has talked to players just about life stuff,
Mhm.
and he has helped players with just life stuff. How Talk to me about Chris Becker, you guys' relationship, and maybe some moments during the past where he has really helped you out as a person and a player.
Yeah, no, I mean, Chris has helped me in every aspect when it comes to basketball and where I'm at now. He has a foot in every step that I've taken to get to where I'm at today. I mean, I met Chris at the worst part of my entire life, and he was such a solid, strong figure for me to look up to. And I guess that was the only person that I did look up to at the time, because I know that he's kind of gone through some things and was able to sympathize or understand what I was going through at the time. And I mean, when I first met Chris, I feel like, he said he doesn't you said he doesn't do it for the money. And I know for me, he probably lost out on a little bit of money working with me, some money and probably some mental sanity for a little bit. I mean, when I first started working with Chris, I was a work in progress. I knew how to play hard and finish with my right hand. That was pretty much it. I was also 6 foot and long, so I mean that helps too. But um like I said before, when I first started playing basketball, I was so hard on myself that you could see it in how I played. And I think that was probably the first thing that Chris taught me as a player, is how to get out of my head and how to stop being selfish, essentially. One specific moment I remember, and that I feel like this is the catalyst of me for years on since then. Um, we were playing in a state tournament. It was eighth grade. And this was the first time I had seen girls that were my size, like as tall as me, but also had some muscle on them. Um, and we're posting up, and the girls are they're finishing at the rim, left and right. They're stealing the ball from me. They're finishing, and Chris called a timeout solely to yell at me. And it was like, you need to stop. You need to close the door. If you open the door one more time and let her skip or finish, I'm gonna sit you on the bench. And before I had met Chris, all the other coaches I had played for, they knew I had a bad attitude. They knew, how I was, and they didn't really care too much to kind of correct certain things, especially at an early age where I feel like where correcting needs to be done. They just wanted to win. So they didn't care about my attitude. They're like, T can have her attitude all she wants. We're going to win the game. I don't care. Chris was like, we'll win or we'll lose every single game this season. I don't care, just to teach me a lesson, essentially. So he calls that timeout. He tells me whatever, and I'm go back onto the court, and I'm in my head like, yeah, whatever. Like, you need me to win, so I'm just gonna stay here. So this is my humbling. This is the start of my humble moment of
Yeah.
my
Oh, yeah.
story. And so it was the very next play. The girl comes down, and I open the door for her purposely because I'm like, okay, well, I'm not about to get bullied inside, so I'm just gonna open the door. She finishes at the rim. Chris calls a timeout. Immediately puts me on the bench. That was like within the first quarter of the game. And then ends up the fourth quarter. I have my sweatshirt on because the gym's cold. I'm at the end of the bench. My hands are in my head. I'm just upset about everything. He comes down there. He's like, T, you ready to go in? I'm about to take my stuff off, go back to the scores table. He's like, good, because you're going to be sitting right there for the rest of the tournament. And I was just like, okay, he's serious. He's, he's actually serious. Like, and we did lose. We lost by a lot. And that was the first time, I think, all season that we had been really smacked like that. I mean, and it did show me, like, I can't play around. Like, my attitude's not okay. It doesn't help anybody. Nobody wants to be around it. Nobody wants to deal with it. And that was the first time he really corrected it, or really anybody corrected that attitude for me. And, from then it was there's a lot of other correcting. I mean, it wasn't that one and done by any means, but he also knew with me that it was a fire too. Like, he needed to light that spark under me a little bit just to get me going, but not take it overboard. So that's one story for sure. But I mean, Chris has had every hand in everything I've done when it comes to basketball, helping me figure out a school, that when I decided to transfer, when it was a good time to transfer, where I should transfer to. Chris and I went on a visit to DC when I was trying to figure out where I wanted to go.
I
He went
remember
with me.
that.
Yeah, he went
Yep.
on my visit with me, and was like, "Tia, I'm gonna be honest with you. Mind you, I'm excited. I didn't really know anything about the transfer portal. The transfer portal at that time was very taboo. Like, you don't
Yes.
want to go in there. Nothing good comes out of it. You stay away from it." And so when I did transfer, I was very nervous and didn't really know what to do. But then it was the first email that I had gotten was from DC, a team out in DC. And he's like, well, let's just go check it out. So we go out there together and we're checking the school out. And I'm excited just because it's another team that wants me. I'm just like, I don't know if I'm going to have another opportunity at this. Like, I'll send the papers right now. And Chris is like, let's go home. Let's sleep on it. Let's talk about it a little bit. And he told me straight up, like, I just don't think that's a school for you. Like, you just came from a big school, going to another big school. I don't know if that's the move for you. And then actually, when it came to picking Kentucky Wesleyan, which is the school I ended up graduating from, I didn't want to go visit. I didn't want to talk to the team. I didn't want to visit. I didn't know anything about the team. I'm just like, Kentucky Wesleyan, I've never even heard of it. Like, I'm not going to go over there and kind of waste my time. And then he's like, no, you should really look into it. Sent me some links and a couple other things to look at. And I loved it. I mean, I went down there just really to humor the coaches. Just like, okay, I'm going to come down there, just see it, go on a free visit, get some free
Right.
foods in a hotel
Yep.
for a weekend or whatever. And I absolutely loved it. And I mean, obviously, college is hard. College isn't easy, especially that transition from being a high school athlete to a college athlete. It's insane. And not having a lot of support can, it can be very stressful in that moment. But I was able to call Chris, and he would calm me down. He'd kind of talk me off the ledge a little bit sometimes. I feel like every athlete has that moment where they just kind of need to talk off the ledge. Like, you are okay. This is normal. Everybody kind of goes through this. You have to figure out how to push through. And me figuring out how to push through, I think, was what made me stronger than ever versus quitting, which is what I feel like especially now a lot of people are doing. And by quitting, I mean transferring, quitting their team that they're on and transferring, trying to find something new just because they're not happy with small things in their environment that they just can't control.
Yeah, that is very well done, the way you laid that out, because I know when you look at a guy like Chris Becker, like, a lot of people don't know, he's got his fingerprints on a lot of different things, a lot of different business ventures. I mean, he is not a guy, he's a busy guy. And then at the time, he also had a family. He had 2 kids growing up. And for him to kind of drop what he was doing to go on your college visits with you, man,
Yeah.
he doesn't just walk the walk and talk the talk.
No,
Like,
not at all.
I've always said the most overused word in sports is the word family. Everybody breaks the huddle with it. They got it on their social media stuff. But again, with the Playmakers program, what Chris Becker has done with it, I just think just instances like that. I'm glad that you brought that up and expressed that and laid that out that way, because a lot of people don't know that. It's kind of what Playmakers is all about.
Yeah. When I
had
said
the
that
honor.
he lost the money, I think he invested. I think I was an investment. He lost the money. He's like, T, come play with me. We'll figure out everything. This is for AU. He's like, come play with me. We'll figure out everything. So at first I was like, hey, you're losing a little bit of money with me coming to play with you for a little bit. But now looking over it, I think that was one of his best investments.
Yeah.
Looking back at it.
That's awesome. He gave me the honor of being your coach as well. He stepped away from the top team, so I had the opportunity to coach you. We have, looking back on those years, we had some really, really good memories. Is there something that sticks out about the time that we spent together as a team
Yes.
that is just a memory that's always going to be in your head? I think I
Yes.
know what you're going to say, but yeah, is there a memory that just sticks in your head about, some time that we spent together as a team?
I think the biggest one for me, because it also changed how I played, which again gave me just a little bit more fire. We were playing in the Oshkosh tournament, and it was a fight between, well, a fight between our team and their team. Really, all it was is two people just looking at each other talking, and
Yeah,
then the
that's
two
all it
teams.
was.
And you were actually in the bench. Or you're in the stands. You weren't able to coach this game. And you run out there, and after the game, we're watching it back, and next thing you know, you're telling us about your college day or your playing days and how you used to talk smack to everybody you played. And I'm like, Coach Jones, like the nicest man I've ever met in my entire life, was out here cussing at people and playing dirty. And it kind of gave me a little bit of extra, just to know that my coach, somebody that invests a lot in me and believes a lot in me, was able to do that and still keep his head straight. Because that's the fire I have. I just kind
Yeah.
of had to keep it, contained a little bit. And then once I got to college, I'm like, nope, it's out. Like, I'm playing with all this fire, all the energy that I have. So for me, that was one of my top memories. What were the one that you were gonna say?
Well, I just enjoyed the trip to Chicago when we went
Yeah.
down like to the Navy Pier and all that
Yeah.
stuff. Um, I
Mhm.
I usually I'm super competitive as a coach, but I usually enjoy like a lot of the off the court stuff,
Mhm.
the camaraderie and that stuff. But I knew that that was probably going to be the game that you mentioned. It was, it wasn't
Yeah.
like the Malice in the Palace
No.
type fight, but it's two competitive teams,
Mhm.
and it was a lot of staring at each other, a lot of smack
Yeah.
talking. So
I loved it. I
yeah,
loved it. And then having you right there too, being like, "Yeah, no, that's what we like." Like, now all
yeah,
you can do is show them. All you
yeah,
can do is show them now. Like, the best way to beat a team, like, or the best revenge or something like that. I can't remember exactly how you put it, but essentially along the lines of being like, the best way to beat a team like that is just to kill them. Like, you just
yep,
gotta go out there and no
and beat them.
mercy. And that's exactly what ended up happening. We just went out there and just smacked them. So that was one of
Yeah.
my favorite memories for sure.
Not only did you have a lot of good coaches that you interacted with, but you had some good teammates. Is there
Mhm.
is there? I know you can't mention all of your teammates because a lot of them were great, but are there like one or two teammates that really stand out to you that you'll always remember playing basketball with?
I Number one, have to say it, Regan Appleby. Always
Yeah,
my number one teammate. Honestly, I give her a lot of credit too for Playmakers, honestly, because it was with her dad that we were having the conversation of where are you gonna play. And there wasn't an official Playmakers team yet. I knew Chris was starting something or had been thinking of something, and I had given Regan's dad Chris's contact, and was like, "Hey, I think this is what I'm gonna be doing. I'm not really sure." He mentioned it, and then he reached out to him. So I give Regan a little bit of credit too for starting the little Playmakers stuff. Just because she was there from the actual beginning of talking about what are we going to do for AAU, because we knew we wanted to play together. We had met actually at the same time. Me, Chris, and Regan all met at the same time, and we didn't really even know it. Uh, and so Regan will always be my number one. And Regan and I, with Chris, have so many memories. Probably the biggest one, which is also an inside joke, is Flatter Up. Chris will know exactly what we're talking. Um, but yeah, Regan number one, easily. A few honorable mentions because it's hard to top that one.
yeah,
Lexi Hanley for sure. I think that year when we had Lexi Hanley, Bree Banks,
yes.
Brooke Freetag,
Oh yeah,
that team was, I mean, the way that we played, we had Lauren Fetch. How could I almost forget about her? Lauren Fetch is probably up. Lauren Fetch is up there for sure.
yeah, yeah.
But that team in general, I mean, it was a very competitive team. The year before, I think that was our first year with Playmakers, so we were kind of just figuring things out. Like where do we play? Where do we lie against a lot of these other teams? Because we were just a regional team. A lot of the other AAU teams, they have Minnesota kids, you have Wisconsin kids, you have some, Illinois or Iowa kids. But ours was really just who made up the 30-mile radius that we lived in.
That's right.
And so we were just trying to figure out where we fit in against all these other teams. And that the first year of Playmakers, I'm pretty sure we didn't lose not more than 6 games that whole season. Um, and so that next year when I played up on the 17U team. Um, that was the year that was extremely competitive. And I think we probably won about 500 that season with as
Yep.
many games as we played, but it was one of the most competitive and fun summers. I think 2016 was the best summer I've ever had in my entire life, and that's solely because of the basketball behind it, the team that I had behind it. Having you as my coach, I've never felt more supported from a coach in my entire life, with you and Chris being there at every game. You guys know how we are as players, and I feel like that's what makes the entire environment better, because if you don't have good coaches, it's kind of hard to have a good team or a good team foundation. And I think that you guys laid that out for us. We did do a lot of team events or family events, if you want to call it. We did get Airbnbs together. We did travel,
That
because
was
I'm pretty
fun.
sure we did the Cincinnati and then we went to Chicago, I think, or
Yep.
something
Yep.
like that. Yeah, and we really were a family, and I think that's what makes the game fun. And for me, that's the reason why I played. In high school or elementary, all throughout school, I didn't really make too many friends, but when it came to basketball, I was able to just be me and be embraced by everybody that was there. And I think that was the best supportive, environment that I've ever been in. It was that year specifically. So, I don't really remember what the question was, but I just kind of going
No,
off
that's a
on.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
I talk to a lot of people, and in some circles, AAU gets a bad rap. They say it's a
Yeah.
moneymaker. There's not a whole lot of coaching in it. A lot of coaches just kind of put the 10 best players out on the floor and let them go at it. Some
Mhm.
some some organizations may run it that way. I really didn't see that in terms of playmakers. Can you
Mhm.
can you really give me some benefits of AAU basketball for players that may not be playing right now, that may be thinking about playing AAU basketball? Like, what are some of the benefits of being able to play AAU basketball?
I mean, for one, repetition. You don't get better. You lose it unless you use it, that kind of saying. So I feel like more than anything, basketball just helps you get prepared for that high school season and that next season. I feel like it helps maintain or create relationships, bonds that you wouldn't have. A lot of times, the players that I was playing with for AAU, I was playing against them, which obviously helps me in my high school season. I know what your skills are. I know what you can do. So now I'm going to defend that differently. But then also coming together, basketball community is supposed to be together, and I feel like especially now, a lot of it is like, a lot of egos now, especially when you have a lot of money involved. It kind of has to be that way, and I feel like Playmakers was just like, it's not about the money. We don't care about how good you are. Essentially, how hard are you going to work? What kind of person are you, and are you willing to be coached? Because there is a lot of coaching. That's probably the first time I felt like I was getting coached more by AAU than I was in high school. In high school, like I said, I feel like my coaches just kind of let me go out there. We had a system, of course, but we were just able to go out there, and as long as we won and we figured it out, it was cool. But there's a few times with you or Chris that I can remember where it's like headaches, because it's like, no, like, yeah, we won, but I don't like the way that we won. So I don't know. But real quick, my favorite memory of you, just so I don't forget it, it's it was just another big coaching moment, I should say, not necessarily a memory, but a huge coaching moment that I thought of. We were in Cincinnati and we were playing one of the top teams in the nation, I'm pretty sure. I think
10 in the country. I remember that.
we had all the coaches watching our games. We had, I think, yeah, they had like 10 players. Everybody on their team was going like Power 5. Um, and we lost, I think, by 9 points max at that game. But I remember we were down by a lot at that point. And just talking about some of the benefits, I feel like a lot of coaches would be upset. Okay, we're down 20 points. It's the third quarter, second half, 10 minutes left in the second half. Just kind of get through the game. And one thing I vividly remember you saying is, we're going to break this thing up by 3 possessions, or by 3 minutes. By the next 3 minutes, we have to have it down by this point. By the next 3 minutes or the next 3 possessions, we have to have it down by this point. So you broke the game up for me. And like I said, I took that and carried it into my college playing, or the playing that I'm doing right now, my semi-pro team. Like, whenever we find ourselves back a little bit, it's like, all right, if I can just get 3 stops in a row, if I can go these 3 minutes or whatever it is that I have to do, and make a little bit of way back and just keep inching our way back. And eventually we ended up doing that. There wasn't enough time on the clock that game, but I definitely remember that vividly, because it wasn't never broken down to me like that before. Like, if I can win these next 3 minutes, then I can try to win the next 3 minutes. Like, simplifying it,
Yeah.
or
I
simplifying.
pre yeah, I appreciate that, because I remember that, and we actually got that game down to 5, and you're right,
Yeah.
we ended up losing it by 8 or 9, but
Mhm.
that was one of the best teams in the country, and for
Mhm.
us, I mean, we killed them the second half. We started
Yeah.
pressing the basketball. We
Mhm.
started executing. And credit to you ladies. I mean, most teams would have given up
Mhm.
because we knew who this basketball team was. They were a really, really good team in the country. And once we got down by as much as we got down, most teams would have given up. I've coached a lot of teams. So we had that
Mhm.
wherewithal to battle back, stay
Yeah.
together, stay positive. And I believe that if we had about 5 more minutes left in
Mhm.
that game, we
Yep.
probably we probably would have got them.
I think
That's a
so too.
that's a great memory.
Mhm.
So this is Unconventional Playbook here again with Tahlia Walton. Tahlia, you left high school, graduated from high school, had a very decorated high school career, very decorated AAU career, and
Mhm.
then UW Milwaukee. You
Yep.
decide to go to UW Milwaukee. Tell me about that whole process and what led you to go to UW Milwaukee.
Yeah. So if I'm being very raw about the whole process, it was my first D1 offer. I went on the visit because I was extremely excited. I got a D1 offer. A lot of the other ones were just kind of like letters at that point or just a little bit of conversations. But this was the first time they're like, I want you to come down to the school. I want you to go on a visit. And I went and visited. Mind you, this is also during the time that coaches can't contact you really legally. Um, but I was able to, after that whole timing or whatever was over, able to go down there and visit the school. And I went down there and I was kind of just excited. And I remember talking to you and Chris about it right after the visit. You both were like, okay, how do you feel about it? And I was just super excited. I was like, yes, I love it. I mean, it's Milwaukee. I'm only 3 hours from home. So I'm close to home, but not too close to home. And both of you are like, okay, like I'm glad you love it. I'm glad it was great, but maybe we should, slow it down a little bit. Let's go look on another or for another few visits and then kind of compare from there. But me, I was so excited, and you know how coaches talk, like, well, we have other people in your position that we're talking to, so whoever accepts it first gets that position, whatever. And I'm pretty sure that next day after my visit, less than 24 hours, I committed. And another 24 hours after that is when the coaches could call you, and I started getting other calls from other coaches after I'd committed. Um, so it,
So
it
what were you thinking at that moment? Okay, you just committed to Milwaukee. Now the contact period opens up.
mhm,
Coaches start calling you. Were you nervous about the decision that you made? Did you kind of
mhm.
regret it, or what was going through your mind?
I definitely was like, I wish I would have looked at more schools. I was just so excited. Like I said, I never even thought about college basketball, and for me to go play at a D1 school, which never really felt hard. Like basketball for me never felt hard to do. I just loved the game so much and had so much fun doing it that it was just fun. It never seemed hard. So I was just like, yeah, sure. Like let me just go do it. Um I definitely was nervous because I didn't know what go do it means. I didn't know what comes with it. I knew I'd be playing basketball and that's all I really cared about. Um but yeah, I was like, I wish I would have waited a little bit longer, but still glad that I picked the school because it was a big school. And um but yeah, that was kind of what I was feeling afterwards.
When you look at obviously I think the one thing about myself coaching college basketball was kind of deprogramming players. And it's kind of a
Mhm.
weird term to use, but really everybody that goes to college probably was the first or second best player on their team,
Mhm.
depending on what level you go to and what team you're playing for. So you redshirted your first year, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell
Yeah.
me about that because that's got to be hard. A player like yourself who is very decorated, number one, and played at a school where you rarely came off the floor
Mhm.
to now being a part of a program where you're sitting out a year. Yeah, you're still doing some things with the team,
Mhm.
but mentally, you probably had to do a lot of mental gymnastics just
Oh
to
yeah.
try to keep yourself motivated. Talk to me about your mindset and kind of what you went through in that respect.
Yeah, honestly, it was a very humbling moment, that whole process. Over the summer, my coaches, they gave us a sheet, and it was basically rank your teammates 1 through 12 on who you think the best player is and who you think the worst player is. And I think we actually had like 15 at that point. And so we all turned our sheets in, and they're anonymous, and they do an average and they gave it back. And I think I was like third to bottom on the list. And so I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like that's how I'm starting off my summer. And then had some conversations with the coach. in the middle of the season, or middle of the summer season, I should say. And she had told me that, she's like, Tia, I think you're a very raw player. I think you could do a lot for us, but right now we need to, tune in your skills a little bit. You're kind of just everywhere with it. And to me, I mean, I never thought about going to college and redshirting. I didn't even know what redshirting was. I didn't know what that meant. I was just like, oh, you don't want me to play, so I'm awful. That's kind of how I looked at it, especially
Yeah.
when I got that, the averaging, seeing that I'm third from the bottom, which I knew I wasn't that. Um, and so I was just like, I don't know, nobody really wants to redshirt. And my coach was like, well, I wish I would have redshirt. I wish my coach would have given me an opportunity. I'm like, you're just saying that. And luckily I had one of my teammates, she also redshirted with me. She talked to me and was like, T, if you do it, I'll do it. I was like, you know what? Okay, I'm not doing it alone. But then it was that first game against Indiana University that we had. I'm sitting on the bench. The tip goes up, and I'm like, yep, great decision for me to redshirt. I mean, the physicality, the speed, the intensity, everything about it. I mean, mind you, we're also playing a Big Ten school, so you have that pressure as well. You see the entire arena is just filled up at that point. And that's when I realized, I'm like, nope, I made the right decision, because mentally, physically, emotionally, I'm not prepared for any of this. And I feel like that's a blessing in disguise. I didn't want it. I didn't feel like I needed it. But then when I had it, I'm like, nope, I needed this insanely. So, and it also helps with my conditioning too. I didn't ever try to work out. Outside of the workouts that I did at Chris's house, which were, I mean, my sophomore year, I did a lot of working out, probably 2 days. I basically spent the night at Chris's. And then over time, it kind of, dwindled off a little bit. And so I wasn't working out nearly the same. And let me tell you, those workouts, they got to me. I was like, oh, so this is real. This is really how you work out. And I still think that my Milwaukee workouts were the hardest workouts I've ever had in my entire life, ever. But it definitely helped me with that next year going to Kentucky Wesleyan, a team that just wants to run. That team is just made up of athletes. If you're an athlete, you'll do great there, because all they want you to do is run and figure it out. So it definitely helped me that next year when I transitioned.
Yeah, tell me about that. You obviously end up leaving UW Milwaukee, going to
Hmm.
Kentucky Wesleyan. And again, I'm an outsider looking in.
Yeah.
I'm watching your journey, and
Hmm.
I could just see you leaving your situation in Milwaukee, going to Kentucky Wesleyan, and I can just start to see you blossom.
Hmm.
And it wasn't like you didn't have any bumps in the road at Kentucky Wesleyan in terms of, you know, getting through that hierarchy, you
Hmm.
know, camaraderie with your teammates, learning the system there. But
Yeah.
I just saw you steadily start to blossom. Tell me about your
Hmm.
experience there.
Yeah. I mean, when I got to Kentucky Wesleyan, I mean, first off, I have to start with Milwaukee. I was, like I said, I'm the oldest of six, and we kind of went through a lot when I was growing up. So being at Milwaukee, that was my first time being on my own and really focusing, okay, what do I want to do? What do I want to do today, and where do I want to go? And I don't have to report to anybody really, and I kind of get to make my own decisions, my own moves, and it doesn't really affect anyone. And being in a big city like Milwaukee, for the first time really taking care of myself, I did a lot of dumb things. And I feel like that is what helped me when I went to when I went to Kentucky Wesleyan, kind of fine tune like who I was at that point, like what I was about. Because when I was at Milwaukee, I'm like, okay, I did it. Like everything in high school, I'm gonna stay away from this because I have a future. I want to get to college basketball. I kind of had felt like I made it at that point, and the pressure wasn't there as much, which kind of made me more lax and less disciplined in things that I know were right for me to do and wrong. But then when I went to Kentucky Wesleyan, I mean, the city is not, it's a little bit smaller. It's a lot smaller than Eau Claire, I should say, but around the same size. So it felt familiar, felt like home to me, but not nearly as many opportunities to get in trouble like what I was at Milwaukee. Uh, and and I feel like that was huge for me. I just was like, not only that, having a smaller school, but I also feel like my teammates, they were just closer. They actually cared about one another. That school, Kentucky Wesleyan, only has like 800 students, and I think 85 to 90% of the school population is made up of athletes. So everybody there, there's a lot of togetherness within that school because everybody's athletes. So we have sister teams, and we'll go watch each other's teams play in their season, and a lot of support within other sports groups to help each other. Um, and so when I did make that transition over to Kentucky Wesleyan, that's why you felt the blossoming, because I felt like there were people there that I was supported by in the school. They care about the athletes. They care about, your growth as a person as well. My coaches, they did a lot of personal development, and I felt like I could talk to them about what I had been going through and who I was, and if I was struggling with anything, they'd be more than willing to help me out with that. So I feel like the environment that I was in, going from Milwaukee, where it's very much business. Milwaukee's very
Yeah.
much business,
Yep.
You go there, you have a job. When job's over, then you go home. You don't really converse too much with your teammates, even though they would like you to, they want you to, but they don't even care if you're friends with each other outside of the game, because it's like, well, as long as we're winning, I don't really care what's going on outside the court. But at Kentucky Wesleyan, they preach togetherness, they preach family. And for me, that's where I really started to find my faith too. And that team is faith based, really. We pray before every game. We pray after every single practice. And for me, that's really what helped me stay sane for a lot of those changing periods, because even though it was my sophomore year in school, it was still my freshman season. I wasn't able to play at Milwaukee. So when I got over to Kentucky Wesleyan and played my redshirt freshman year, it was just like a whole new year with a new team. And it's nice when you have a team that, speaks light into you, or some life into you, especially from where I came from. So
Yeah. And this is what I'm talking about. And again, I'm not saying these things to make you feel better. I'm just calling a spade a spade. Like a lot of your journey
mhm.
eats about 90% of athletes up.
Yeah.
Changing schools, having a little bit of adversity in high school, maybe not making it at one place, but going to another place.
Mhm.
And through all of that, once you get done with Kentucky Wesleyan,
Mhm.
you are stared in the face with another D1 program.
Yeah.
You have, out of all the crap that you've been through, you
Yeah.
get another opportunity to play Division I basketball at IUPUI.
Mhm.
Talk to me about that
I mean,
journey.
it was crazy how that opportunity came about too. I mean, the coach that actually recruited me, I played against her in the GMAC. She was one of the coaches for Walsh. And then the year later, she ended up going to IUPUI. So she already kind of knew me. We played against each other. And what's funny, we played the same system. Her team and my team did. And statistically, I don't like to admit this, but statistically, her team was better than ours. I mean, they beat us more. Even the years that I was there, they beat us more times than we had beat them. But we played essentially the same system, switch everything, and then offensive was basically like a free motion offense, just figure it out for the most part. Five very versatile players. Um, and so I was very familiar with her system. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'm familiar with that. I'll go over there. And again, I mean, that was another big jump for me, especially because I'd been playing D2. I'd wonder where my skills had matched up D1 wise, because I hadn't played, So I didn't know if I had matched up to that level, or if I kind of was playing down a level. I just didn't know. But I think one thing that I can, I guess, pride myself on is I matched the level of my competitor, always in the better way though, if that makes sense. Like, I never go down, but if I feel like my competitor is better than me, or whatever, has a higher status, then that gives me more pride and more grit and kind of a chip on my shoulder to make sure that I do what needs to be done. But that transition for me was great, especially in the summer. I went over there and I was playing hard. I was one of the starters. I was a captain, which was a first for me. I wasn't a captain at Kentucky Wesleyan, or even a starter my 4 years, which is a whole nother thing of, being a leading scorer and then not starting for 4 years.
Crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, we can ask the coaches and they say things like inconsistency. Whatever you want to say about that, but just learning how to push through that. I knew that I could still make an impact. I mean, I still played a good amount of minutes. We did a 5-in, 5-out rotation. But anyway, about IUPUI. Starting off, everything was great. I was playing the best I had ever played. I was the most conditioned I had ever been. It started off very, very great, and then I dislocated my shoulder 3 times before our first game. And I feel like that for me kind of wore on me mentally, just because it's like I'm playing the best I've ever played, and now my body's not picking up where I need it to, especially it's my last season. I want to go out with a bang. I want to play the best I've ever played and actually put my all into it, because I kind of fell off. You just get so into a routine after a while that it's easy to fall out of love for it, And so when I started getting hurt and I couldn't play games, and now I'm going to PT and I'm seeing my teammates play and seeing them practice, and that's all I want to do, especially knowing it's my last year. Um, it was very hard. I mean, like I said, I dislocated my shoulder 3 times. Then both of my ankles went out. So that was another thing that I had to battle for the first time ever. I've never had an injury all throughout my playing career. So for almost 12 years, I've never had an injury where I've had to sit and miss games for it. I've always been able to kind of bounce through or fight through the pain, but these were real injuries that I couldn't just ignore or let go. So that was another really tough, like mentally thing for me to have to battle through for a while.
Yeah, I've always expressed to you that if there was ever another opportunity for me to become a college head coach elsewhere, the
Mhm.
first person that I would dial
Yeah.
would be you. And the reason why I say that is I
Mhm.
believe to become great, like
Mhm.
you have to go through something. My mom used to always say, you've got to go through something to be able to accomplish something.
Mhm.
And you have gone through a lot. And I think you're the total package. And I think you would be, not that you have to coach basketball or coach
Yeah.
any other sport, but I feel like you have to have a job where you are engaging with people
Mhm.
all the time because you have a lot to give.
Yeah.
So it's one of the main reasons why I wanted you on this podcast and
Mhm.
wanted your video to be the first on this channel
Aw.
because I wanted to ask you a question like if you had there are a lot of just bad information out there. People
Yeah.
are choosing AAU programs for the wrong reason. They're choosing colleges for the wrong reason. That's why the transfer portal is so huge now.
Mhm.
It's like the Wild Wild West. If you had to
Yeah.
give a message to some aspiring players out there hoping to follow in your footsteps, like what would be a message that you would give them going forward?
Wow. I mean, the thing about me, I could talk all day, clearly, about anything. So trying to keep it short, I guess the main thing for me is, especially with the transfer part, I mean, it's gonna be hard. It's never easy. It's gonna be hard. Working out's gonna be hard. Your teammates figuring out, your relationship with your teammates are gonna be hard. Your relationship with your coach is gonna be hard. It's all gonna be hard at some point. And something that keeps being brought to me, not even in basketball, but just in life, is you're not gonna ever get over something until you get through it. So you can you're gonna keep finding the same situations or the same issues everywhere you go. If you're not doing something at one school, it's gonna follow you to the next school. If you're having an issue with this coach because of this reason and you're not talking about it, it's gonna follow you to the next school. Main thing with the transfer portal, because I mean, people love the transfer portal now. I mean, the coaches say one wrong thing and now kids are like, oh, yep, I'm out of here.
I'm gone. Yeah.
You don't develop as a person that way. You can't just go through life, taking one thing that somebody says and then letting that completely affect how you move as a person. You can't let other people affect you like that. Um, I don't really know. Like I said, for me, it was just easy because I live in my own world. I'm kind of just clueless to everything outside. But I guess that's the one thing I can say is that it's going to be hard. Nothing in life that's worth anything is easy.
Great way to put that. My last thing before I get you out of here, my kids laugh at me all the time. My wife laughs at me too because I watch a lot of weird documentaries. I
Yeah,
like to watch documentaries on like UFOs and
I love it. Me too.
Bigfoot and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, right.
So
The History Channel.
there you go. And I was watching something on time travel and I thought I was really intrigued by it, right?
Mhm.
So if you had the opportunity, now you are a grown woman now.
Mhm.
So if you had the opportunity to travel back in time and talk to Talia Walton in high school,
Mhm.
what would you talk to her about?
I would probably say exactly what I just said. It's gonna be hard. It's not easy because once I got out of high school, I thought it was gonna be easy. I was like, I made it. This is where I wanted to get myself to, and that's kind of where I stopped when it came to training, when it came to how serious I was about basketball. I kind of just was like, okay, I'm here now. I did the thing. Like, this is it. Like, so I guess now I would definitely go back and tell myself, it's going to be hard, but also comfort myself. I feel like a lot of people don't give themselves grace when it comes to how hard that transition is, especially, going from high school to college. It is so different. You're not around your family anymore. You're not around your lifelong friends anymore. You don't have that support physically like you thought you would. But um, I would definitely just keep giving myself grace. I don't think that's given enough for athletes.
Awesome answer. And you've accomplished a lot of great things in basketball, but you probably don't know this yet. Your greatest accomplishments are yet to come, and it's going to be
Thank
it's going to
you.
be outside the court for sure. When you
Mhm.
look back at this when you're about 60 years old, you're going to find out that that is going to
Yeah.
be the truth. You're on your way to accomplishing a lot of great things. Thank you so much for
Yes,
taking the
absolutely.
time to join me on this
No, I
and
love it.
helping out the playmaker programs and
Yes.
possibly inspiring a lot of people out there that are going to watch this. I expect this is going to
Yeah.
do very well.
No, and I
And
hope
people
so.
yeah, people are doing a lot of things. So I really, really appreciate you coming on
Mhm.
and spending time with me, Talia. So
No, for
thank you so
sure.
much.
Yes, thank you for having me.
We have been talking to Tia Walton, former Eau Claire Memorial Old Apes, and Stanley Boyd, UW, Milwaukee, Kentucky Wesleyan, IUPUI, and playing semi-pro ball right now. So she's still got the basketball shoes on. Tahlia, I wish you nothing but the best. I know you have a great family at home, but your
Mhm.
playmaker family is really proud of you. And if you ever need anything from us, we're always here for you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Tahlia Walton here on Unconventional Playbook, Playmakers Edition. We got a lot of videos coming up. We got a lot of players lined up for interviews just like this one. We're just going to dive in. And the one thing that I want to do is show you how special the Playmaker family is. We're going to do this with this channel. So make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, and tune in every chance that you possibly get. I've been your host, Lionel Jones. And again, for Tahlia Walton, thank you so much. We will see you when we see you. Thanks.